It doesn't matter if there is fear or if there is doubt. Fear and doubt are simply the last vestiges of a tiny little mind that's finally starting to see the gig is up, that's starting to intuitively understand that all of its little attachments to circumstances, outcomes, and temporary states are being totally burned up by the light of your willingness to sink your attention back into your heart, to stake your claim in your birthright, the home that you have never left. If you've come across this video, then I know that you have been working very hard spiritually. You've probably been trying for a long time now to transmute all of your karma. There have been all these deep memories that you have accessed, these challenging physical sensations that have arisen in your awareness, and there might be this feeling that all you're going to have to do for the rest of your life is wade through this endless field of landmines that you refer to as your shadows. If you've come across this video, then you are so tired of seeking. And you can sense that the goal is right there. You can taste it on the tip of your tongue, but there is this feeling of exhaustion, this feeling that there's something that you're missing. And I'm here to tell you that the only thing you're missing is the allowance of your own comfort. When was the last time that you spent an entire day without thinking about enlightenment? When was the last time that you simply made a cup of tea and sat and took a deep breath and didn't try to frame any of that in the limited context of so-called spiritual practice? When was the last time that you saw yourself as perfectly whole and complete and not some spiritual being on a so-called linear healing journey that really you're starting to sense if you think of yourself like that, you're going to be on that journey for forever? The truth is that all those deep layers of pain that you're accessing, it's just you peeling back the layers of your being like an onion. Your fear and your doubt are so intense because quite literally, you are accessing layers of ancestral wounds that have not been seriously looked at and sat with for eons. You're not responsible for these thoughts. You don't need to force yourself to overcome these so-called shadows. Ego is not some giant monster that needs to be comprehended or feared. You don't transmute anything. Transmutation happens through you. It is simply the natural product, the cosmic law of your own willingness to just stop all of the endless logic chains, all of the loops of thought about how you're not good enough, how you need to practice more, how you need to seek and grasp. And you've never not been enlightened. And that's not just some convenient non-dual saying, but it is the absolute truth. So why are you trying to force yourself to become something that you've always been? It's okay to be happy. The reason why it feels so uncomfortable to be happy sometimes, the reason why your mind starts kicking and screaming when you keep things simple, is because your ego is recognizing that you're not allowing it to grip you so tightly. Happiness is the greatest solvent. Happiness is the only true spiritual practice. It's like cracking open an egg. Think of the egg yolk inside as this light of your being that you want to access, and the shell as this thick, dense layer of ego. There is this belief that you carry deep in your core that if you smash the egg on the counter, if you practice hard enough, if you force your karma to be transmuted, if you contract and contract and contract and overthink about all these techniques and all these ways that you're not being spiritual enough, that you're going to access this yolk inside. And yeah, maybe with enough effort, with enough force, you might encounter some glimpse. You might open to this egg yolk, but there's going to be all these shells that you have to pick out of the yolk afterwards. Your journey is going to be incredibly messy and incredibly difficult because you're mixing up the home that you have never left with some series of beliefs that you're on a linear journey of healing, that your enlightenment is going to occur at the end of this long process, that all of it is happening in time, that you are a finite entity that needs to fix something or do something to be what you've always been. Conversely, releasing is like cracking the egg open gently. Yes, there was a little bit of practice at the beginning. You had to lightly tap the egg against the counter to see that it was possible to open it. But now you've been practicing enough. You've been hitting the egg against the counter plenty of times, and it's time to just put your thumbs in and just... And notice that when you drop an egg into the pan, if you're dropping it from 10 feet up, if you're just carelessly putting it in there, the yolk bursts. But if you remain delicate with things, if you really just open the egg intimately and just let it seep out, the yolk remains intact. All of this is to say that awareness is gentle, that if you're experiencing deep pain as a consequence of your spiritual practice, then it's a red flag that your practice is predicated on some belief about yourself that probably isn't real. It's okay to let yourself be happy. And if you've come across this video, you have been looking for a sign for so long that doing the one thing you want most, just not giving the mind any care whatsoever, not trying to force yourself to not think, not trying to force yourself to love anything, but just letting things be exactly as they are. You've been so desperate to be allowed to do that, to let yourself do that. And I'm here to tell you, that is what you've been missing. That is what it's time to do. You're already healed. You're already perfect. So just let this energy course through you naturally. Have this trust that you're doing the right thing, that you can't not do the right thing, because it is you yourself that is the beginning and the destination of your spiritual journey. It's just this process of seeing, oh, there was nothing I needed to change. The whole idea of change is totally just arbitrary to this dimensionless, timeless presence that has always been there and will always be there. So, I promise you, you are doing enough. In fact, you're probably doing too much. So just calm down. You're going to be fine.